I'm pretty excited about this interview. I got a really dope guest today. So real quick, I'm gonna read their bio before we get straight into this. All right, make sure that you guys are going ahead and you are leaving a rate and a review of this episode. If you're not subscribed to the podcast yet, I don't know what you're doing, but make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. All right, so let's get into it. Mike Q is an American artist and is one of the leading figures of the U.S.'s long-running but still largely underground ballroom slash Vogue house culture. Based in New Jersey, the innovative producer is not only one of the busiest DJs, but he also heads up Ballroom Culture's first record label, Queen Beat, and turns out a steady stream of Vogue and Ballroom tracks, re-edits, and remixes. His clean, spine-snapping DJ sets, music production, and voice is seriously in demand around the U.S. and beyond at clubs, colleges, ballroom events, panel discussions, and festivals internationally in over 20 countries for various promoters and major brands. He has also headlined at major museums and has scored for films and TV shows such as Kiki, Movie, and Viceland's My House. Mike Q also appears on screen as the DJ on HBO Max's legendary Amazing Show. If y'all haven't watched it, make sure you go to HBO Max, who don't pay us, but I'm still plugging it, as well as FX's third season of Pose. Everyone, welcome Mike Q, also known as DJ MikeQ, to Convos For The Culture. How you feeling today?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Starting the first season off right by bringing you onto the show. Um,
Yes.
One thing that we do on the show, just a little icebreaker. We play a game called Black Card Revoked. Okay, Black Card
Okay.
Revoked is a game that we play here, and that's when I ask my guests one thing about them that will get their black card revoked. I've had crazy things. Well, I wouldn't even say crazy, but we've had things like, people who've never seen the movie Friday. We've had things like people don't know how to do the electric slide. We've had
Oh,
things
wow.
like people putting ketchup on their chicken. All right. So, my Q, let us
Okay.
know, what is one thing about you that will get your black card revoked?
Um, Maybe, so I like to hang out the side of helicopters with the doors off and take pictures. And I have a friend
That's
that
adventurous.
always says I'm white peopling when I do stuff like that. I'd like
Okay.
to hike and be in the mountains and deserts and stuff at night, doing whatever. So yeah, maybe that.
No, I think you get to keep your card for that. I think that's
Okay,
just you being
good.
adventurous. I think black people, we have to get out of saying certain stuff is white people stuff, like getting out of our neighborhoods and seeing the world. I think that's
Right.
should be everybody's stuff.
Okay. Okay, if something else, I don't do seafood.
Okay. No shrimp,
That's no shrimp,
no catfish.
nothing, none of that. I always got to sit out on the fish fries and
Mm.
all those events that the family does and stuff.
So you weren't doing the seafood boils during the pandemic with everybody else.
No.
Got you. Okay. Okay, that's a maybe, but I don't know. That's a
But
maybe.
it's
Are you
there's
allergic?
nothing else. No.
You just don't like it.
Yeah, this I used
Okay.
to eat it maybe up till I was like 4 years old, and I
Mhm.
don't know what happened, but it's a no for me.
It's a no for me. Okay, I
But
feel it.
other than
Well, listen,
that,
audience,
I'm
let us
black
know.
as fuck, so
I love that. I love that. So, audience, let us know, is that black card revocable? I think your black card is intact, though, personally.
nice.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. So you grew up in New Jersey. Just tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Well, I had a normal upbringing, full family. Lived in one family house with pretty much everybody, and just was always surrounded with my mom, my grandmother's sisters, aunts, cousins. Um, as a child, I was always not into doing a lot of the sports and stuff, but I was always being creative or just into science, growing plants, doing shit like that.
Okay.
But pretty normal, just a normal kid with it, whatever that is.
When did you get into so like when did you start knowing that you wanted to get into music, DJing, production? Like what was it about your upbringing that is it something that you always loved as a child? Is it something that you got into in high school or college? Tell me about that.
Well, I didn't really get into doing music production and DJing. This was not until I was in high school and I went to my first party, which was the Globe in Jersey, which was like a gay party that I had always heard about, but was always afraid to go. And
Mhm.
upon going there my first time and being exposed to just club life and a small part of ballroom, I think that first moment just took me in. So I found myself there every Friday, pretty much after that until I started producing, which was probably a year later.
Okay.
But in Jersey, like we always grew up on just listening to house music, Jersey Club, or actually in its early stages before that really popped off, it was Baltimore Club. So they would have like CDs out, or if you go to the skating rink, you would hear the club music there. So that was always like a Jersey thing, just to hear those kinds of beats and stuff.
Mhm.
But I was never into producing or DJing. It was just a type of music that I enjoyed
That you enjoy.
at the time. Yeah.
Speaking of Jersey Club, for those of the listeners who don't really know their music, is Jersey Club the sounds that we use, like we hear almost every single day on TikTok, where they go ahead and they remix the old school songs?
hmm
Okay,
are you asking? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah. That's
asking.
that's is yeah. It's definitely it's a global thing now with Jersey Club. Is really like taking off. So from Little Uzi Vert to Coi Leray, you probably hear that mix right
The
now.
Players remix, right?
Yeah, that's a real
Yes,
big thing. She actually just did a video for that in Jersey here. So
awesome,
it's
awesome,
popping
awesome.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sound is taking over. I hear it every like I said, I can't get on TikTok without hearing some new remix, and the kids are dancing. All right, so you said the club was called the Globe. You said
Yes.
so. How old were you when you first started like attending there, going to that club?
I think I was about 17, 18.
Okay.
Um, it was definitely one of those like underground type of
Hmm.
parties. So pretty much almost anybody could get in. But just, a lot of teenagers and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I would have to say about 17, 18.
So throughout high school, because obviously we know Black community LGBTQ is kind of what's the word, taboo sometimes, right? Um,
Mm.
how was that for you growing up? Was it an issue? Were your family and friends accepting? How did that work out for you coming up?
It was never really an issue.
Okay, that's awesome.
Maybe because I wasn't like, out or
Mm,
doing those types of things at the time growing up. So no, it was never an issue. That yeah, just never came up.
okay. So when did you quote unquote come out?
I wouldn't say I ever really did. It was just
Ooh,
I don't know. I guess some people you can almost see things. I've heard my grandmother say this one time, like the way I hold my head, like she just like knew or something like that. But it was never, hey, I'm this way. But if you are watching what I do and the things that I'm a part of, you can just put it together.
right. So do you think? I'm glad that you said that. So you just exist,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that should be something that we have to do? Should there be a moment where you're like, "Hey, y'all, I'm coming out. I'm gay," or "Hey, I'm bi," "Hey, I'm,"
Not,
etc., etc.
not at all. Like that's nobody's business, or it's not a thing that needs to be announced.
Mm, I like that. I like that. So that is where you. So it was around that time that you got into ballroom scene. Talk to me about ballroom culture. Or I know what it is, but what is the purpose of ballroom culture? Somebody who's listening to it and they just don't know, because for a lot of people, their exposure to ballroom was either pose or legendary.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, a lot of people, are hearing it with that, or they take it in as being like a entertainment thing, which it is very entertaining, but it is a culture that is, built off of off of the lives of, black and brown, yeah, trans women, because that's who started ballroom, and just, the minority that there is of, gay people, and it was just a space that was made for them to come to with themselves and be accepted within that, and make their own world. And a lot of people that are in ballroom, not a lot of people that are in ballroom, but a lot of things that have brought people to ballroom, which has maybe been like their personal lives and haven't had such a normal upbringing, or have been thrown out by their families and not accepted, and have come into ballroom in one way or another, and just had a whole turnaround on that. So it's more than just entertainment, for a lot of us.
And I see it from what I see, it's a lot of family, correct? It's like a family aspect to it.
Yeah, so, and that's with the houses. Um, there's different houses, which I would say you compare to like maybe a fraternity or a sorority or something like that, and they're just built off. They have the mothers, the fathers, and then all of the members of the house, which they are, families, and they can support each other in and out of ballroom.
Have you seen a difference between? I hear a lot of people say, ballroom's not what it used to be, right? We hear that a lot. Ballroom's not this. Ballroom's not that. Um, have you seen? Is there a difference in how ballroom is today versus what it was maybe 15 years ago, or maybe it was back in the 80s when it started off?
Definitely. Ballroom is forever changing.
Hmm.
There's always going to be different eras of it. What would make me say ballroom isn't the same? Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely more. We have more people, and is it has more shine out in the world now. People know about it, and then just the people that are in ballroom now have had to like double or triple in that time. So it's a lot to take in. There's a lot going on. Different times, different cities, different countries. There's always a ball happening where before it may have just been a few balls per year, where they were heavily attended. Now everything is a little bit more spread out, and it's like, a pick and choose thing. You have to, you know, really think about what you're going to attend, what you're going to walk now
Okay,
versus before, where, it was smaller.
understood, understood. So do you you just do okay? So in ballroom, do you do just the DJing, or have you done categories, et cetera, et cetera? Like where? How do you live in this space?
Just DJing and producing.
Okay,
Um, I've never walked a ball. I
right,
don't think I would. I've thought about it at times.
right.
But I enjoy being in the background of things.
Hmm.
Um, so if I wasn't doing music, I would probably be doing video or photos or something like that. Something in that creative realm rather than being on the ballroom floor.
You do photos though, correct? I
Yes.
think I read somewhere that you're a photographer.
I wouldn't call myself a photographer, only because I
Okay.
know so many photographers that have, went to school for those things and really have like really good professional careers behind that. It's for me, it's more of a hobby, which started because I was traveling to so many different countries DJing, and I didn't just want to keep taking iPhone pictures, not knowing if I would be able to come back to this place. So I want to get, a nice keepsake of that. So that's what
I
started
love.
my photography, and I've been doing that for 8 years now.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Speaking of countries, what's the best place that you visited?
It's so many. I have favorite places, which I would say Tokyo, which is that's the first
Mm,
country I ever went to back in 2011. I would always say that's the most fascinating place. It's just so different there. The people, the way it looks, the shopping. I just love everything about it. But my favorite place to like DJ is definitely like anywhere in the UK. I just feel like they understand or just get into the music in a different way. Which,
yeah.
I mean, I've enjoyed everywhere that I play and have had good gigs everywhere, but it's something about the UK that stands out as far as that.
Yeah, I agree. I lived overseas for a while. I think just overseas, especially in Europe as a whole, they just move differently, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
like partying and clubs. I lived in Germany for a while, and their club scene
Okay.
is 1,000% different than our club scene. We're here, we're DJing. People are starting to really know who you are. You're a lot of people credit you for bringing your sound to the mainstream. Bring everything to the mainstream. Talk to us about how you kind of take the old sound of ballroom and mix it with current day hip hop. Like, what was it that really gave you your unique sound? Did you have certain inspirations that you kind of modeled off of? Like, how did we get to the signature Mike Q sound?
Well, there's definitely inspirations, and I would say my main number one inspiration for what I do would be the icon Von Allure, who is the creator of the modern sound of ballroom. So even that first night when I went to the Globe, it was one of his tracks that I heard that was like just different. It was different from the house music or the Jersey club or Baltimore club that I had heard, but it was still this kind of dance beat. So hearing that, I don't know, it was just something different that took me with that, and it led me to wanting to find more of that specific sound, um, which led me to the clubhouse in New York and stuff. But yeah, definitely he's a big inspiration for that, and he did like a lot of remixes and for the hot dance as well as other house tracks that the ballroom used, like the Witch Doctor or Work This Pussy. And what he would do is take those older tracks and sample them into the newer tracks. So it's just that hearing this new track with this familiar sound or voice that you have heard in this other track that you have heard at balls, it's just like, that's how the sound kind of went. So a lot of ballroom music is heavily based on sampling. Doesn't
Hmm.
have to be, but that's where a lot of that's where I get a lot of that from. So I would take, some of that, some of Jersey Club, some of house, and put all of those things that I've been exposed to into my music.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I got a question. While I was doing my research on you and whatnot, I read some stuff talking about you do a lot of work and um, you use your platform to kind of speak out against some corporations appropriating ballroom culture. What is that appropriation? What does that appropriation even look like? Like, what's happening that people are appropriating ballroom culture, but not giving credit to the people who founded it, the people who are, living in that space.
So with its popularity and just being exposed with social media and stuff like that, you're gonna have other people coming in trying to do or duplicate what it is that we do. So this one specific thing, I think it was like a thing with Apple where they had hired some other producer to make this ballroom like track, which sampled the hot dance. And that whole situation went to this white DJ who is not a part of the scene, not a part of the culture, but
Wow.
now he's, got paid for this when it could have been somebody who has been here and has done this. So, with that, you also have a lot of people with the voguing as well, and I noticed like a lot of people who may have went to voguing classes. Like that's how the scene got bigger, especially in other places. There might have been somebody that went to a voguing class, and you got 50 people at this class, and they do one or two classes, and then start going to balls, and like they're in the scene that way, and
Gotcha.
then they go because they're in Europe or just somewhere that's like not where most of American ballroom has existed. Now it's somewhere else, and somebody else who may have only been doing it for a year or two and maybe not even that great is now getting booked for ads and gigs and things like that to do or put on display this new culture that they have found.
I get that. So is ballroom? Is it safe to say? Because I've always thought it was personally, but would you say that ballroom culture is black culture? Um,
Definitely.
okay.
Definitely, but it is an open culture, that that does allow others to come in and be a part of it, which is, I mean, not a bad thing.
So you don't think that
I don't
both
know.
you don't think it should be because I know some certain people feel that ballroom culture should be gate kept more than it is.
It should have been. It might be too late now. I don't
Mm,
know. It's so much of it out there in so many different places. It's like if you're in ballroom, you have that piece of it, and you're able to go out and do with it what you want. There's
mm.
no cohesive or collective community trying to say, hey, we need to do this or allow this or stop that.
So anything I asked today, by the way, feel free to go ahead and hit me with that pass because I don't like to mess up no bags for nobody, right? Um,
Okay.
I know last year there was some controversy sitting around Meg Thee Stallion, obviously with the Tory Lanez stuff, but that's not what we're talking about. But with the music video, her and a lot of people said because of her connection to Legendary, because of the style of the song, and because of the attempted style of some of the dancing in the videos, they feel like she should have featured people within ballroom culture. Um, how do you feel about that? These artists, because that sound, that ballroom sound, and we'll talk about with Beyonce, obviously is going mainstream. We saw Drake hit a lot of the house type music with his last album.
Hmm.
Doechii, she hit a lot of that music. Meg Thee Stallion with her. Do you feel like these artists should have some form of representation from the community when they go ahead and they kind of bring this music on their projects?
Definitely. And I remember hearing that specific song and thinking like, okay, this is definitely ballroom inspired.
Yes.
I did like the song. It's pretty catchy. I think I've only played it like maybe one time.
Okay.
And yeah, they should have a ballroom representative. Now, she did have Honey Balenciaga in the video. I don't know if anybody noticed,
Hmm.
but it
I
was
did not notice.
um, the one with the bob. I'm
I gotta go
guessing
back and watch
he's
that one.
in drag in the video, but Honey Balenciaga isn't there. He's just multiplied, so he's like 5 or 10 people, but he is
Uh,
in that video. Um, so that was the only person I believe that was from Ballroom in there. And yeah, that this is a thing now where artists are starting to tap into this and not always go to the correct source for it, which they should.
mm,
But it's a whole thing, I guess, if they care or not, or
okay. And we'll get to Beyonce in a minute. But all right. So since we're on Legendary, let's talk about Legendary. First of all, the song. I love the song. I was listening to
thank
it
you.
just yesterday. Um, talk to us. How did you get this? How did Legendary become? How did you get onto the team? How did you get onto the show?
um at first I wasn't a part of the show. I had just been contacted to submit some music for the show.
Okay.
And then that turned into, well, we need a theme song, maybe you can do the theme. So I remember the show had asked me, but they had already had James Blake, I believe, to produce the song. But he had the gig already, but he did this the right way. So he contacted me himself and wanted me to be a part of doing that song. So we did the theme song. We recorded it in like just one night. I had already had a little bit of the beat produced at home, and then just went to the studio in New York, did that. After that was submitted, then they asked me to be, oh well, you want to be, the on-screen DJ for the show. So I agreed to that, and that just turned into a thing really fast.
Um. So is that your voice on this? That's your voice throughout the whole entire
No,
song? It's not.
that's Ash B. Ash B.
Okay.
She's one of my artists and friend from Queen B. And
Okay.
I had asked her to do it because it was like a last minute thing. Like she was on her way out of town. I think I believe I had got hit last minute, like, hey, we got to, make this happen because we need to submit it. So I had grabbed her up and we went to the studio and did that. And she's not necessarily like a ballroom commentator or anything. She's actually
Mhm.
my friend from down the street. We used to hang out, go to clubs together, and she'll be in the car freestyling and stuff. But she has like the perfect voice, like on that for that track.
It
So
was awesome. I love it.
yeah.
All right, so with Legendary, I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. All right, who was your favorite guest judge?
Um, I would have to say that would have to be Dominique Jackson.
Okay,
That was my most entertaining filming of the show was that. Um, and then I was like super like starstruck like when Taraji came or Kelly Rowland. Those were also
amazing. So actually, we're gonna play real quick that part that went viral about Dominique Jackson, when Dominique Jackson and Law Roach had, got into a little tussle.
Stunning house, you know what I mean? Like the physicality
They're not that
and
stunning.
the faces are.
Hey, they are stunning.
Whoa, let's make sure.
No, I am that stunning. As an icon in this community, if you are going to say something, you don't have the power to do that. I am. Bam, 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 bam.
Here she goes. There she goes again.
I am Ballroom.
She is an icon without a doubt. What she's done for the community, without a doubt. But here, this house, she's a guest.
Let's not make this a back and forth. Y'all didn't here to judge each other. Y'all judging them. Let's continue. I need you to sit down for me, please. As a judge, please have a seat for me.
I'm not used to this. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Talk to me. Was that awkward? Like, I always wonder, because I know like how we watch as the viewers, how we watch these shows isn't how it happens the day of. I know the days are a lot longer. So when Law gets into it with Dominique, or Law gets into it with one of the contestants, like how awkward is that experience for you as somebody who's just watching that in real time?
it's all I always gag. It's always a mouth dropping moment when those things happen because they're completely unexpected, and nobody ever is prepared for that or knows what to do immediately. So it's just like just to watch, and because that's always what I'm doing from my little corners, just watching, and very entertaining moments.
What was the dynamic like when it shifted? Well, not shifted, but how was the dynamic? Because everybody loves Kiki. How was it when Kiki came onto the show? Because like I love Meg, I'm not a hottie, but I love Meg, right?
Mm.
But I just felt like Kiki brought something different to the show, a lot more personality. Just like, how was that for everybody on set?
I think everybody enjoyed her. Like Meg definitely brought like that star power to the judges panel of the show, but with Kiki, she definitely like I enjoy her as a judge
Mm.
actually more because she really got into it and gave people like she really got into what was going on and spoke to people like for real. So just that whole part of it, like I think it shifted well and could have worked for more seasons.
We'll get to that. So one moment Kiki gave so many moments in that last season. Whether it was her and Laura Roach when she said, "It gets so tired." But the moment that gagged me was when she has, I forget which house it was, but she was talking to that house, and she was like, I really love what y'all were doing. You was boom, 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 boom. You had great choreography, great chemistry. So I'm gonna give you a 6. And everyone was like, oh, because she
Very,
gassed
very
them up and gave them
truthful.
a 6.
She's very, very honest with, whatever and gave you reasons why. So
Mhm.
yeah.
How was it when Kelly Rowland came there? Because Kelly is obviously a legend in her own right. Um, That might have been my favorite. I think that was my favorite. Between her and Taraji, they were my two favorite guests. How was it with Kelly on set?
It was nothing different, more or less, from any other taping. Because usually the judges are. I'm on the DJ booth, which is the opposite side of the judges. So
Okay.
I'm just seeing from across. The only time she was out was just when we were filming, because they do a run through beforehand, but they have people that fill in, for the judges just to make sure everything is timed right and stuff. So I didn't get to see her until it was time for the show to tape, but I knew that she was going to be there, which we don't find out until I believe the night before or the day of who the guest judge is going to be. So that was always exciting to, figure out
Well, you don't
who,
know
who
until
it
the night
was.
before.
It's either the night before or the day of,
Oh wow.
when you go in and see everything, and then it says who the guest is going to be.
So just be like, oh, Leslie Jones is here today.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Um, who do you think? Who was who was the worst elimination that you feel shouldn't have been eliminated when they were eliminated?
Tishi.
Yes. Yes.
They were my favorites. That's it. They were killing it. The Muglers as well. Also the Balenciagas, but Tishi
Yes.
definitely
I felt
more.
like Tishi and Balenciaga should have been the finals in season 2, personally.
My personals was Tishi and Mugler, but
Okay.
definitely Tishi. We meet on Tishi. I think
Yeah,
we. I think a lot
we
of
meet
people
there.
feel that way.
They definitely shouldn't have been top. That was crazy. That was crazy. Um okay, so Legendary, as we know, 3 seasons, great show. What happened?
Well, so I had usually the show gets renewed in May right after it airs. That's how it's been, every season going forward. And I've noticed that didn't happen. The show it didn't get renewed, but it also didn't get canceled. And then September came around because I had asked a few people in between, but nobody ever hears anything. So
Mhm.
September is usually when they start scouting out for the new houses, and the legendary page will post, whatever to send the email in to whoever. They didn't do that, and
Mm.
I think by October is when they have everybody and they start getting details ready to go film in January. None of that happened. So just in December, they had finally announced that it was canceled, which I believe is due to the merger with Discovery Plus
Yes,
and HBO or Warner or something like that. So they, cut a few of HBO's shows off.
especially the ethnic shows. They also canceled Issa Rae's Sweet Life LA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they canceled a lot
Uh,
of black shows and things of that sort. There's a lot of people wondering because we see shows get canceled all the time, but then in the age that we are, we see that they get picked up by another streamer or whatnot. Is there any chance that Legendary can come back, or is it done for good?
I would hope so. I haven't heard anything, and if it is, I probably would be the last to hear it.
Right.
But and I was trying to think of what shows have been canceled and picked up by other networks, and I couldn't think of any. But if that could happen, that would be amazing. It should happen. It's definitely more to go with the show.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I felt like we could have had a scenario where, like, a couple seasons down the road, we like have an all-star season where we bring out back, you bring back the T-Cheese, you bring back, the different houses throughout the seasons, and I think that would have been great to have.
Yeah.
But we didn't get it. How was it though? The very final season we had the Juicy Couture. Um, how dope were they to watch in person? I think the one all of their performances obviously stood out to me, but like I have never seen anything like the week that they did the Freddy Krueger. Like, what was that? Seeing that in
The
person.
the shit they did was just like jaw dropping. Like I I've always went up for the houses when they would be out on the floor every season, but the Juicies they definitely brought like just this different energy, and it was a gag to everybody. Is because this is the first Kiki house that's on the show, and they're really like turning it almost over everything that we've seen so far on the show. So that was just exciting to see.
What's the Kiki House for those who don't know?
Kiki House. So the Kiki scene is a sub scene of the main ballroom scene, which originally was just for the youth, like maybe I don't know what age, 14 to like 17-year-olds, but I think a few older ones are in there now. But that's what it originated as. And the Kiki House was just a house for fun. So they would just make house names, and it was like almost like in a joking manner, but it has become more of a serious thing now. And I would say the Kiki scene is almost as large as the main scene is, and you have people who are in both, are a part of both scenes. So it's definitely a new thing that has spread since maybe the late 2000s, around 2010, I believe, 2009, 2010. That's when I can remember back to the Kiki scene or doing my first Kiki ball.
Oh, what do you think is going to be important for ballroom culture moving forward to continue, so it can continue to grow? Because I know you want it to grow, but at the same time, you don't want it to be co-opted or appropriated. What do you think like the road ahead looks like for ballroom?
That's a hard one to answer. I
Okay.
would say I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Last legendary question. Last legendary question. If there was only, who are you? Who, right? If you're a contestant on the show, who are you most afraid of? Law Roach or Leomi?
I am hmm. Law Roach or Leomi?
Because they both have
Uh,
had moments where it's like, whew.
I mean, so if I'm a contestant on the show and I'm from Ballroom, it's gonna be Leomi for me,
Okay.
because she's from the culture and she's the one that I feel knows the most up there for sure, and what she says is correct.
Okay. Bet.
So yeah, it's her for sure.
Yeah. That's the other one. The last one that I had, the moment that stood out for me was the Tiffany Haddish episode. Was that so? When you have those moments, is there like a break in filming to let people, calm down, get their stuff together, or is it just like keep going?
uh, the only time it was a break was maybe when Dominique came, and I don't even think so.
Okay.
They keep filming. It's all
Ooh.
filmed. Um, yeah. No, it's never a break. They keep going straight through. They'll calm down, within the filming, but it
Okay.
just goes. So there's a lot you don't see.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right, so we are gonna pivot a little bit. Last year, it's been a while. Last year, I want to say, was it when did Renaissance drop?
That was July, end of July.
July. Wow, that's crazy that we've been sitting with this project for over 6 months now.
Yeah, right?
That's
Where are the visuals?
listen. I want those visuals as much as anybody else. So now, um, let's talk about it. You're on Renaissance. Now I know a lot of people didn't know that they were on Renaissance until Renaissance came out. What's the lady's name? Show Me Love. Is it Robin G?
Robin S.
Robin S. Robin S. Show Me Love. She went on live talking about it, and she was shocked, she was surprised, but she was also happy because her streams went through the roof after Beyonce first dropped Break My Soul. Then we also know that Khalees has some issues with energy because of
Mm.
the interpolation of her song, one of her songs. Um, did you find out the same way, or did you know that your music was going to be sampled on Pure/Honey?
I knew. I don't know what everyone
Okay.
else's issues was. Maybe they didn't get the email, but that's how I found out through an email, which I almost could have missed. It was in my inbox because I think it was a first email. It was in my inbox for a couple of days before I had noticed. And I think I got sent a second one,
Okay.
and I just seen Parkwood on there.
Yes.
Um, Actually, I responded to the email first. It was asking about the song "Feels Like." Are you the producer and you have the master and publishing all that stuff? So I responded yes. But after that is when I saw Parkwood and who I was responding to. So I had sent that to my manager and I had asked. I was like, "Is this? You think this is Beyonce's company asking this?" So I had got him involved with that and. Sure to find out, that's what it was. And this was maybe 2 weeks before the album was dropping that I found out, but it was like a whole fast moving thing. It was getting paperwork together and doing
Wow,
this
so
and
it was
that.
that
And
quick.
yeah, a very fast thing. So it was already,
Wow.
everything was already done,
Right.
of course. And then
Yeah.
I would say maybe 2, 3 days before the album came out, I was able to go into the Parkwood office in New York and hear the song.
Wow.
So that was a pretty cool experience. And
So talk to me about that. Like, how was it hearing something that you created, along with Kevin Prodigy, correct?
yeah,
Um, what was that like hearing something that you created by and like being used by Beyonce? Not only that, but also the attention to detail of using the sampled voice of Moy.
Ke- Moy Renee
Yeah,
as
Moy
well
Renee.
as Kevin Aviance too.
Yeah, like and Kevin.
Um,
Like, what was that like? Because that was intentional.
Yeah, very intentional. It was just a gag for me. Like I mean, I remember once I found out that the whole thing was confirmed and that like this was happening, like of course I had a cry moment, like, what is happening and just like so happy and overwhelmed with all of that. And yeah, it was just amazing. Like almost couldn't believe it for a while now, for a while. And I wasn't also able to tell anybody
Mm.
so I had to hold on to that and
Because
not
Beyonce loves them
speak
Indiana.
the yeah. I didn't even tell my mother right away. Like it was nobody that I told immediately. I held on to that for a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites on the project. Like the whole project is good from front to back. You can't like I feel like Renaissance is not a project that you can just listen to like track one and then skip the track. You gotta listen through it straight.
Yeah.
But Pure Honey for me is probably the best song on there. So shout out to y'all. Um
Thank
it's
you.
just the like so first it comes in like real ballroom. I hear ballroom culture all through it, but then like that change up within the song is like giving me old school Prince, like Prince type vibes, right?
Hmm.
And then at the end, when they go back to ballroom and you get that like literally random times throughout the day, I'm like, Hunter, where's Hunter? Like it's amazing. Hopefully you get to, I don't know you maybe be keeping stuff on the wraps, but hopefully if there's some visuals involved, at some point, if there's a live performance involved when she comes to Jersey, whatever, New York, hopefully you can be a part of that.
I mean, I would love to. Visuals, I can definitely say no. Like nobody knows what's going on, but we all know those videos exist.
So they
Which I'm
do exist.
excited to see. They exist only because just seeing the still clips and she
Yes.
has all of those photos from each video already,
Mhm.
and you can see the photo from that's going to be for Pure Honey, and she has the two dancers on the side of her
Green
with the
wave.
green wig
Oh,
and the outfit, and that's Moira Renee video right there. So
like
we already know it's coming. It exists. I don't know who's a part of it, because of course this is Beyonce. We're not gonna know
I don't
until
know
it
until it
comes, but
drops.
patiently waiting.
Did you how's that been like ever since, being a part of this? Have you gotten like more bookings? Have people been like, oh, I need you to be a part of this? Like, what has that looked? Is there such thing as the Beyonce effect?
Um, I I won't say I got any more or less bookings because of that.
Because you were already
Um,
booked and busy.
yeah. So it's just been the same. Nothing changed much.
Okay. Yeah, that's so dope. Like, but not everybody. At the end of the day, not a lot of people can say, Beyonce. They have a project. They're featured on a Beyonce project.
Right.
So yeah,
And so
that's
I'm hoping she gets that album of the year at the Grammys, which would be amazing.
yes,
So
yes.
fingers
Um,
crossed for that.
Now, why do you think some people were upset that they didn't, quote unquote, know about it?
Um, I mean, I guess there's, a business way to go about doing things,
Mhm.
which I'm learning every day just about this stuff. And I guess, people want to know ahead of time. And I guess, not even Beyonce can just, do things. Me, I was ecstatic. I could have
Right,
found out later, and I'm still gonna be like, okay, we'll talk the business after. But,
right. Just
I
like
guess,
the two sexy guys who sing "I'm too sexy for my shirt," blah 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 blah.
oh, I forget their names,
Yeah, they
but I
were
know you're talking
upset
about.
because she used a little interpolation on Alien Superstar.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
when she's like, "I'm too sexy for this time,
Yeah,
too
okay.
sexy." Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they
I
were.
didn't take that from I didn't think of that song, but
No, that's my thing. Like, I did not think of that. And I think a lot of it comes to it's Beyonce. So regardless, people are always gonna be like, "Oh, that's my song," or "Oh, that's this," or "Oh, that's that," because it is Beyonce. And when you get to that level, anything that you do, people are always gonna find something wrong with it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So what else do you got going on right now? What's next for you? What are you currently working on that you can tell us?
Um currently I'm trying to get these legendary remixes out. This is a project that was supposed to have been out while the show was going. I didn't know it was getting canceled, so now I'm trying to hurry up and get that out, which is just remixes of the theme song,
Okay.
which are pretty fucking amazing. So the world needs to hear them. I'm trying to possibly have that out next month. And then I'm also preparing for a tour back in Australia. So I'll be going there, I think, the end of February and then into March. Come back, go to Europe a few times, and yeah, just booked up and busy and traveling a lot and working on music and projects and stuff like that. And that's just it.
Dope, dope, dope.
Normal shit.
Where can the people find you?
Where can people find me in the house? um, I am well on social media everywhere at the only Mike Q, of course, and then in real life, uh, follow those pages and you'll see where I'm playing at
Okay.
going forward. No US gigs right now. I'm
Okay.
lying. I'm in LA February 11th.
Okay.
Um, and that's it for the US as far as now.
Okay. Hey, it's still early. It's only January, so we're sure. I'm sure the calendar is going to fill up pretty quickly.
It always does.
Super dope. Well, I appreciate you for coming on the podcast. I wasn't even sure if you was going to even say yes. I was like, let me see if he says yes.
Because I
But yeah,
remember you were trying to get me since I think we were speaking since August, and I had went to search for your email and saw the other ones. I was like, oh my gosh. So
yeah,
I'm glad that we could finally do this.
yes, me too. Because I had we had connected after I had made that post that went crazy about all of the LGBTQ influences on Beyonce's Renaissance. And
Yeah.
like it was crazy because like you had responded, Honey Dijon had commented, real TS Madison had responded. I was like, oh my god, these people are actually uh, commenting on this post. It was really cool. So yeah, I
That's
appreciate
what's
you
up.
tapping in.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
No problem. All right, y'all. Make sure that you go give him a follow. Check him out on his different socials, and we will be back after this little break with a final word for this week.